In everyday life, do you ever feel like you just don't have it in you to deal with life or the stressors or handle all the setbacks or times when things just don't go right? If so, today's episode is for you. Hi, I'm Wright, a licensed psychotherapist and an expert in childhood trauma recovery. Every bit of my work in the world, including today's episode, is designed to support those who come from childhood trauma backgrounds to have the best adulthood possible, despite where we may have come from in life. I'm so glad you're here, and I want to say that I hope even one thing I share today helps you. And as we go through this episode, if you suspect you come from a childhood trauma background, I really encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel and sign up for my newsletter in the show notes below. But for now, as part of helping you have the best adulthood possible, despite how you may have started out in life, we're going to explore today's topic, relational trauma healing, the 4 components of a self-care tool chest. In this episode, we'll cover the following. Component 1, the biopsychosocial basics. Component 2, emotional regulation. Component 3, coping skills. Component 4, resilience tools. Before we dive into today's topic, I just want to say again, I hope even one piece of what I share can be of support to you. And then there's something else I want to say. No matter where you're starting out from, no matter where you are right now in life, please remember, change is possible. Diving into today's episode. Look, those of us from relational trauma backgrounds, also called childhood trauma backgrounds, we often have underdeveloped self-care tool chests. What do I mean by this? Well, we often lack a robust set of fundamental skills, tools, and practices to both achieve foundational biopsychosocial basics, emotional regulation, the ability to cope when we're outside of the window of tolerance, and moreover, we often lack resilient skills when setbacks happen. So why is this? Well, we come by these deficits honestly. In other words, for reasons that aren't our fault. And usually we come by this for a broad range of reasons. For instance, lack of modeling by our caregivers because of their own knowledge gaps, or inconsistent or inadequate support during critical developmental stages growing up. And honestly, sometimes it's because of the absence of safe environments that foster healthy emotional and psychological growth. And there could be other reasons why we lack robust self-care tools. And the huge irony here is that those of us from trauma backgrounds often need the biggest tool chests of all, given how often we find ourselves dysregulated or in need of additional support to weather the storms of life battering our proverbial house of life. The longer I've trained as a trauma therapist, I've come to conceptualize that the foundational self-care tool chest really comprises 4 main parts, all parts which I assess and then further work to strengthen with my therapy clients in phase 1 of our trauma therapy work together. So in this series, a 5-part series of episodes on the fundamental tools that should be in our self-care tool chests when we come from relational trauma backgrounds, I'm going to share an overview of all 4 of these main parts, and then subsequent episodes will detail out each drawer, so to speak, really going into specifics about what practices and tools are included in those so-called drawers. For now, though, in this first of the 5-part series, I hope this overview of the 4 main components, or what I'm calling as drawers, of the self-care tool chest feels helpful for you as you begin to think about what your own self-care tool chest might look like and, quite frankly, need. Okay, so diving in. Drawer number 1, the biopsychosocial basics. What does biopsychosocial basics even mean? Well, biopsychosocial basics refers to a comprehensive approach to health and well-being that integrates biological, meaning physical health, psychological, meaning emotional and mental health, and social relationships. and support systems, all of those factors. This integrated framework emphasizes the importance of balancing all three dimensions to achieve overall well-being. Esteemed psychiatrist and interpersonal neurobiological expert Dr. Dan Siegel has conducted extensive research and work on this concept of the biopsychosocial basics, teaching it in the form of what he calls the Healthy Mind Platter. The Healthy Mind Platter outlines 7 essential mental activities necessary for optimum mental health, similar to a balanced diet necessary for decent enough physical health. These activities include, fairly predictably, sleep and physical activity, and, less predictably, focus time, time in, downtime, playtime, and connecting time, all of which contribute to a well-rounded and healthy mind. The premise here is that when our biopsychosocial basics are in place, when that drawer is full and replete, as it were, we give ourselves a firm chance for decent emotional health on a daily basis. Okay, so drawer number 2, emotional regulation. What does emotional regulation even mean? Emotional regulation refers to the ability to manage and respond to an emotional experience in a healthy and adaptive way. It involves recognizing and naming, understanding the signal value of, and managing one's emotions in an adaptive way to navigate life's ups and downs effectively. This skill is crucial for maintaining mental and emotional well-being, allowing us to handle stress, cultivate and maintain relationships versus pushing them away and destroying them, and achieve whatever personal goals we may have. I'll share much more about emotional regulation skills when we dive into a subsequent episode specifically devoted to that. Okay, drawer number 3, coping skills. What do coping skills even mean? And how are they different from emotional regulation skills? Well, emotional regulation skills are how we identify, name, use, and appropriately express our feelings as they come and go. And coping skills are what we use when our feelings feel too big inside of us and we've eclipsed our window of tolerance. Coping skills, in essence, refer to the strategies and techniques we use to manage really challenging, emotionally overwhelming situations. And let's be real, for those of us from relational trauma backgrounds, really challenging situations can be objectively small moments that subjectively feel huge and overwhelming, especially before we've done more of our trauma processing work in stage 2 of the trauma therapy treatment model. So honestly, it behooves all of us from trauma backgrounds to have a really rich and full drawer of coping skills, since we'll likely be using them a lot. I'll share even more ideas with you about what these are in the next episode exclusively dedicated to this subject. Finally, drawer number 4, resilience tools. What do resilience tools even mean, and how and why is this different from coping tools? Well, think of it this way. Coping tools are what we use in the moment when a big surge of feeling comes up in us and knocks us totally off balance. Resilience tools are what we employ across a longer duration of time when a setback happens that evokes hard emotions, sure, but emotions that don't necessarily flood us. Still though, these resilience tools are what we still need to work through in order to recover, adapt, and get through tough times that would otherwise really demoralize us. So in other words, resilience tools refer to a whole other set of strategies and practices that let us rebound from adversity, pivot and adjust when change happens, and attempt to thrive in life despite difficult circumstances. We'll dive into how you can foster these skills in a future episode totally devoted to this topic. So these are the 4 main drawers I personally conceptualize when I think of a self-care tool chest in stage 1 of trauma therapy work with my clients. Now, at this point, I'll say that there is arguably a whole other tool chest related to reparenting strategies, which I'll also create more content about someday. But for now, I hope it feels helpful to see how I conceptualize these self-care ideas at a very high level. Again, Those of us from relational trauma backgrounds might have deficits in each of these drawers, but it doesn't at all mean we can't learn or relearn the tools to put in these drawers. In fact, that's a huge part of my work with my therapy clients and my online course students. And I'll share more details about each of these drawers and tools in subsequent episodes. But for now, as we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Did this analogy of a tool chest help you better understand what kinds of drawers of tools you might need to cultivate and develop in your own relational trauma recovery journey? Which drawer feels like the most full and complete, and the least full and the most incomplete for you? If you feel so inclined, please leave a message below so that others can benefit from your share and wisdom. You really never know who on the other side of the world you might be helping when you share your story. Finally, if you're still not sure if this content applies to you, if you're still not sure if you come from a childhood trauma history or deal with its impacts as an adult, I would invite you to take my signature quiz, Do I Come from a Childhood Trauma Background? It's a 5-minute, 25-question quiz I created that can be incredibly illuminating and will point you in the direction of a wide variety of resources that can be of further and immediate help to you. Plus, when you take the quiz, you'll be added to my mailing list where you'll receive twice-a-month letters from me sharing original high-quality content with accompanying YouTube videos and audios you can stream, all devoted to the topic of childhood trauma recovery, and where I share more about me as a person, my life, and how I'm journeying through my own childhood trauma recovery and general adulthood. My newsletters are the only place where I share intimate glimpses into my life, including photos, the resources that are supporting me, the things I've discovered that delight me, words that are uplifting me, the practices that nourish me, and more. So please be sure to sign up for my mailing list whether or not you want to take the quiz. I'll link to both of those things in the show notes below. Finally, thank you so much for listening to me today. I truly hope that even a small part of what I shared today felt helpful to you. If you found value in this information and would like to stay connected with my latest content, please consider giving this episode a like. It helps more than you know. Also, subscribing to my channel and turning on the notification bell ensures you're always up to date with my newest episodes. I appreciate your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you. So thank you. And until next time, please take such good care of yourself. You're so worth it.